So here we actually get into a rather interesting little idea. The first parts of this theory really spans from the story of Ardenweald, especially when you get into the Covenant campaign of the Night Fae. We learn that Elune's power eventually consumes everything, right? When Elune finally gifts you her power, that power keeps growing and growing until it finally consumes the user of that power. Azshara called this power, or this ritual, the Forbidden Ritual. In other words, when Azshara was the ruler of Azeroth, effectively the ruler of Azeroth, this was a forbidden ritual. This was a ritual not to be trifled with, not to be touched, because it ultimately consumes everything. It is the actual hatred and the vengeance of Elune. It's the vengeance of a first one, effectively. Now, there's some interesting things that we learn from this. In Ardenweald, we discover a first one that's far older than Tyrande, or became a first one much longer ago. And as they realized that they will die, that he will die, they found a way to split the power of Elune between the two of them, him and his husband. So they split the power of Elune between the two of them, and it ultimately claimed both of them. It killed them both. Right? And no, I meant the first one. Not the Night Warrior, the first one. So, Elune is a first one, in my speculation, in my opinion. Elune is a first one, and Elune's wrath creates the Night Warrior. Now, based on this story, what is very peculiar, the fact that both of them died tells me that Elune's power doesn't stop. Elune's power will most likely consume even a Titan if they don't find a way to get rid of it. That's the problem with Elune's power. Because the fact that even splitting that power wasn't enough to keep them alive tells me we're in for a hell of a bad ride later down the road. Because we know that Malfurion is trying to figure out how to save Tyrande. And their plan currently, the plan that they've come up with, is to split the power of Elune between multiple people. So instead of just one person having the power, they'll split it between 9 or 10 people. If my speculation on the power of Elune is correct, it will kill all 10 of those people as well. So they will have to exponentially keep splitting the power between as many people as possible, and the power will just continuously keep growing, because this is the vengeance of a god, right? This is the vengeance of a god. It consumes until it consumes the user. That's its purpose. So why? Why does Elune's power do this? I think the reason is because it is imbalanced. If I am correct, and Elune is obsessed with balance, which I believe I'm correct in this. If you have a character, a mortal, with the power of a god, that mortal cannot live forever. Why do I think this? Why do I think Elune is so picky with the powers with her Night Warriors? For exactly that reason. She doesn't just hand it out willy-nilly. We know from the lore that every single person on Azeroth that has attempted to become the Night Warrior has failed. The ritual itself kills them. So Elune doesn't just impart that power on her followers. It's not something she does willy-nilly. The reason is, it's the power of a god. If you have this power, just to put this into perspective for you, Jaina is fucking up everything in the Maw. When you get into the Maw for the first time, Jaina actually continuously escapes. Jaina, Anduin, Bane, and Thrall were all abducted by the Mawsworn. We haven't seen the cinematic yet, but that is actually a cinematic that we will see. The Mawsworn have abducted Jaina, Anduin, Bane, and Thrall. They tried to abduct Tyrande. Tyrande killed them. Tyrande killed the Morsworn that was sent for her. Jaina couldn't do it. Jaina is a very powerful mage. Jaina might be the most powerful mage on Azeroth. And Jaina couldn't fight against the Morsworn. Jaina couldn't stop them. Tyrande killed them. They all fell to her bow. So the power of Elune is immense. It is truly immense, but it's not eternal, because it would throw the balance of the universe out of whack. In order to maintain balance, Elune will gift you, and we also know, thanks to, again, the Autumnweald campaign, Elune only gifts this power when there is a true threat to be fought. So that should give us a little bit of insight into the mind state of Elune right now. The Night Warrior that we meet inside Autumnweald tells us about the void that attacked their homeworld. The difference between them and us is they were already there when this old god invaded their world. It speaks about this darkness that crashed into their planet and then turned the entire forest into a realm of darkness, if you will. And everyone that ventured into this darkness, this dark forest, lost their minds. Right? So you actually hear about an actual Void Lord that attacked their world. And it was, in order to stop this Void Lord, they invoked the ancient ritual, and he became the Night Warrior, and that eventually killed him. So only in the most dire of circumstances, where a true threat presents itself, will Elune invoke or bestow her power upon you. So why did Elune decide to do it with Tyrande? What exactly is Elune afraid of? I think it has to do with Sylvanas. It has to do with what Sylvanas says at the end of Shadows Rising, where she has had enough of the self-righteous cosmos. And as I've explained in one of my Sylvanas videos, in one of the many Sylvanas videos that I've done, which means I'm not going to make Sylvanas videos for a while, just because I think most of you are bored of my Sylvanas videos at this point. But in one of my many Sylvanas videos, I said this. The reason Sylvanas went after Teldrassil in the first place was to start the gauntlet. This was Sylvanas saying to Elune, I'm coming for you. I am coming for you. That's it. Sylvanas is ready. Elune knows that Sylvanas is coming for her. And it's not that she's afraid of Sylvanas, that she's afraid of the Lords of Death. Because those Lords of Death are truly powerful. And perhaps together they might not have the power to destroy Elune. But I've said this before. Why do we assume that all of the first ones just automatically work together? That's not how it seems to me. It seems to me that every single first one has its own little plan for the universe. Its own little thing that it created. Its own little thing that it watches over. Elune's power never stops growing. Because at the end of it, Elune's power has to claim its wielder to restore balance. I believe in 9.1, maybe 9.15. Malfurion, my heaven knows, will find a way to split the power of Elune, and they'll split it between enough people, and then they'll realize they're all about to die. Because they've just taken a power that never stops growing, and they've split it between even more people that's now going to die because this power never stops growing. So they're upsetting the balance even more. That's what I think is going to happen.